All right, so welcome back to Coach Cove's B-Ball Breakdowns. As always, I'm Coach Cove. Today we got something new going on. Instead of looking at college games, we're going to look at NBA playoffs and break down the film from Game 1 of the Knicks and the Cavs series, Game 1 of the Bucks and the Heat series, and Game 1 of the Sacramento Kings versus the Golden State Warriors. So first things first, in this New York-Cleveland series, Game 1 was basically Jalen Brunson. He was the dude for the Knicks on the offensive end of the court. And that got started early on here. You can see he pretty much just takes Isaac Okoro right to the rack. He's just got such a quick first step. Okoro is one of our better defenders, the Cavs that is, and he isn't able to stay in front. I don't know if the Cavs have a guy who can stay in front of Brunson. And for that reason, I feel like we need to sack off the Cavs and give Brunson a step, make him a shooter rather than allow him to get what he wants and pretty much drive at will and make plays, become a playmaker in the lane. I'd rather have him turn into a pull-up shooter and beat us that way. So, in my opinion, there's no reason Okoro needs to have 2 feet outside the three-point line with Brunson this far from the hoop. I get that you're fighting over this screen, but you kind of got to give and take with Brunson. And this is a situation the Cavs learned quickly. They kind of responded in Game 2 and started playing him a little bit better. And that comes down to JB pretty much not having him ready, not coaching it the right way. And it's also laziness from Spida here. You'll watch 4-5. He's pretty much hugging Barrett the entire play. He never steps in the lane. And RJ Barrett's like a 27% shooter from the three in the last couple games. Like, he has not been shooting it well. There's no reason we need to be this attached. Spida has got to drop in the lane and pretty much step in front when he sees Okoro has gotten beat off that nasty first step from Jalen Brunson. So just one more time, we'll see this initial. It's a dribble handoff first right here. You see he goes under that first one. So, you know, Brunson is not a threat from 5-6 feet behind the three-point line. And in my opinion, you know, that's where he's going to shoot this ball as well if Okoro doesn't fight over. Instead goes under. If Okoro goes under that, unless Robinson commits on an illegal screen, he's going to be able to get a hand up at least, and Brunson's going to be a couple feet from the three-point line, behind the three-point line. So I think you kind of got to fake under this rather than get caught going over, and then you're a step behind when he goes back to the right. We're already beat at this point. Now he's just kind of playing with his food. Okoro's getting quick-footed here, and Brunson's able to cross back over the last time and get right to the cup. So part of the perks of doing the NBA, as I was preparing for this film review, is the fact that I can really talk about some high-level skill stuff that I see. Watch Donovan. So the first guy up here is Quentin Grimes. And he just goes right at – so coaches tell you a lot of times to go at the defender's top foot. You can see the top foot's the right foot, and Donovan crosses back that way. He does the same thing to Obi Toppin, to the top right foot, and he crosses back that way. But when I was watching this, the way I feel like it's easier to understand is you dribble at his back. You see Grimes right here. He's kind of forcing Donovan's sideline, dribble at his back, cross him over. Toppin forcing him sideline, baseline, dribble right at his back. Just a little change of pace, a little hesitation. That's all you need. He does it twice, back to back, boom, and then boom. He just dribbles at his back, and I think that's a much healthy, I don't know about healthier, but an easier way for me at least to understand, you know, you don't just have to attack his top foot. You can just dribble at his back, make it simpler. He can't turn around as quick as you're deciding to dribble at his back. We'll see it in full speed one last time. Boom and boom. Gets right to the cup. And, yeah, easy two there for Spida. So if I have to see Ricky Rubio check back in this series, I'm going to be really disappointed because he played just a couple minutes in the first quarter of the first game, and it really did not go well for him. You can see on this possession right here, he makes a bad pass. He turns it over. There's really no lane here. He's got 2 people guarding him, and he's trying to hit Dean Wade on sort of like this 45 cut, backdoor sort of look. But it's way too clogged up. You see Hartenstein and Hart are both there, and he's really just passing it to no one. He's hoping that Wade is going to fill this spot, but Hartenstein and Hart are both reading him. He's not in a good position. He's not in a strong spot with the ball. He doesn't really have control of his next move, and he's not prepared to deliver this pass in any sort of pocket for Wade. And even if he were, the pocket ain't there because the lane is clogged up by Hart and Hartenstein. So first, Rubio rather, is off balance. He's not making a good pass. He's not making a effective, forceful, fundamental pass. We can put it that way. And then Hartenstein, it's just not a good pass. He's not open. Dean Wade isn't able to cut to the ball and get there. And then Rubio was the last one down the court. Had he hustled, he might have been able to get in front of Hart for that little dump. You can see from the point of the turnover, Hart actually gets pushed forward. So these two are almost, pretty even. Maybe it's a step or maybe it's a half a step, but watch Rubio's reaction to that turnover. Points. And he's trying to talk to Dean Wade, telling him it's his fault. And he doesn't get back. And now the guy who was even with him, who was his responsibility, is there for the easy dump and layup. So, like I said, if I got to see Rubio again in the series, I'm not going to be happy with JB. So I'll pick on Rubio a little bit more right here. We just talked about it. There's no need to be this far up on Brunson. You allow Hartenstein to come up here and set a high screen and immediately get beat. So now Brunson's got a mismatch on Mobley. And watch what he does. He attacks his top foot, his back. He goes just right at Mobley's back. He's got his hips turned, forcing him that way, and Brunson goes right at his back. Attacks his top foot, and he just forces Mobley to turn his hips back, and he isn't able to catch up. That's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate in Evan Mobley, who is getting put in a blunder by Jalen Brunson because he's just being fundamental, and he's able, and bad defense from Rubio to start the possession. This is another adjustment that JB made from Game 1 to JB Bickerstaff, the Cavs head coach, made from Game 1 to Game 2. I didn't see this a whole lot last night while Randall had the ball. But we had guys shadowing, the nearest defender was shadowing Randall when he had the ball in his hands. We were getting ready to help on the double team. And I really don't love that sort of move from JB. I feel like we kind of got to live and die with Mobley and Allen and what they can do guarding Randall, because this is earlier in the game. I mean, Randall's knocked down a couple of threes at this point. He has at least a dozen points. But all this does is get us out of position before the play even happens. There's no reason to really double Randall unless he's making a move. And at this point, we're just getting ourselves out of position. All it takes is one little ball fake, and now Mitchell's beat, and they get an easy 2. Not really JB's best stuff right there, but it is what it is, and they made the adjustment Game 1 to Game 2. So we can see in this first half, the Cavs' bigs were really struggling to score. And because DG and Donovan had to do so much on the offensive end, Josh Hart can kind of just go right at those two guys because they didn't play a whole lot of defense in this first game. You see DG just backing out of the way, Donovan pretty much doing the same thing. Those guys just had to carry so much of the burden, it kind of like took the fuel out of the tank. The tank was empty on the defensive end of the court for them because they were really the only two who had anything going offensively. Hart gets it in transition, and he kind of takes advantage of that. He sees that Spida and DG are the only two back, and he just goes right at him. He makes him make a decision. Either you're going to step in front and foul me, or you're deciding not to play D. And that time, they decided not to play D. So here we get a little kick out from Randall to Brunson. And as Isaac Okoro is closing out, I want you to watch his feet. He gets real towards that three-point line again. And as a defender who's guarding, pretty much their best player on the court, you got to know that Brunson's going to try and just get right around you when he gets the ball. So what I would rather see Okoro do in this situation is close out shorter, chop your feet a little bit more. He's kind of flying out here. He doesn't really break down. Doesn't do a great job of breaking down. He breaks down a little bit, but he doesn't do a great job of breaking down. And he gets beat right away. What I would rather see is you close out shorter, break down more, and get a hand up. There's no hand here. You got to be low and get a hand up. You got to break down and stop your feet. About right here is where, the top of this key extended. But Okoro, he just gets too far up. He's way too high up, and he isn't able to get going in another direction by the time Brunson is. And I will hit on this again as well. Who's the man in help? Who's the guy to step in the lane? It's Donovan Mitchell. And we're leaving Barrett. He's open here for the kick. You might as well step all the way in the lane and at least stop the ball. Spida stays flat-footed. Doesn't really do a whole lot here to make a play on the ball or get back out to the defender that he was guarding. And, I already mentioned, I get that Spida's got to carry a lot of the load on offense, but our energy and effort and intensity, it starts with him. And those little step in the lanes, they count. They add up, and they speak volumes about what you're doing on that end of the court. Unfortunately, that wasn't the only problem, though. We'll see right here that after this Osman 3 on the other end, Mitchell's he's the deepest guy back right here, but he gets beat by the court, he gets beat down the court by DG and Osman going the other way. And Toppin's running the court. Donovan ain't. Donovan pulls up short, and he lets Toppin go right by. I mean, there's no excuse for that. I saw this play, and I was upset because Donovan is just being lazy on this play. I pointed it out. He's the first one back. He's at half court. And he's already walking back by the time Osman's taking this shot. How do you let a guy in the corner, when you're already out of the shot, beat you down the court? I mean, it's inexcusable. And they get an easy 2 off of that. And here's another example of just poor defensive effort and intensity. Josh Hart setting the screen on Cedi Osman for Brunson. I mean, please switch this. You gotta talk. I'll pause it at the perfect clip right here. That's the story. Donovan, stay in front, switch, talk. No, you let Cedi fight through the screen and he gets beat the whole way. Brunson is just reading the D. He's just reading the D. He's taking what he's given, and we give him the lane because Donovan don't want to switch. I don't get it. To end this highlight though, we're gonna check out the Jalen Brunson show. Here he is on Allen, sizing him up, step back 3. He also gets their 2 big buckets down the stretch in the final 2 minutes. Here he is on Osman, hits a step back free throw line jumper, and then he's on Osman again, takes him right to the rack just off that first dribble. Just too quick of a first step, and we got no one in help. Allen isn't able to get up in time, and he's quick to the hoop, man. He gets there quick, and when you're not stepping up, it's an easy 2. Second possession of the game for Miami. Watch Tyler Hero down here in the corner. He's just so good at reading his defender. You can see right here that I think it's Pat Connaughton. No, it's Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen's pretty much just mirroring him off the corner out here. He's coming up. He doesn't even have to V-cut. V-cut, basically you fake in the defender, get him in the post a little bit, get him inside the 3-point line, get a shoulder into him, and then cut back out so you can receive the ball. Doesn't even have to V-cut, just reads that Grayson Allen's defending him and mirroring every move that he makes. He's chasing him. So he just stops on a dime and cuts right back behind him, and Grayson isn't able to keep up. It's a good feed there from Bam. Bam, a very underrated passer. I really like Miami in this series. I like them to go the distance and push it to 7 games in the first place. But if Giannis is out, that changes everything, and Miami could easily. I see them moving on if Giannis is out, because Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are 2 guys who score the rock. Even though Tyler Hero broke his hand, I still think that they can do it, because Bam and Jimmy are just elite scorers. They get their buckets and they know how to get their buckets, but they're also great passing out of situations where they should. Another reason that I really like the Heat to move on is that Jimmy is just such an elite playmaker. And when they got dudes like Strus, Vincent, Lowry, was Hero, I mean, those dudes just are knockdown guys. They make plays as well. They get their buckets. So on this one, Jimmy, it basically set up a 2-man game for Lowry and Jimmy. We got Vincent or Strus in the corner, Cody Martin, and K Love's clearing out. So watch the way Jimmy pivots and turns his body and pretty much makes himself a screen as he gets the ball. I thought this was a really elite, high-level veteran move out of Jimmy right here. Just super simple. Sees that Carter is, again, mirroring Lowry, chasing him around. And Jimmy just does this. He raises the ball up and he steps right into his path. Allows Lowry to get a better angle coming off this, I don't know if it was supposed to be a handoff or a screen or what, but Jimmy does a good job of hitting Carter and creating some separation there for Lowry, who's able to get down to the block and get an easy 2. So the playmaking really was on display here early in this one for Miami, and a lot of that is accredited to Coach Spo. He's one of the best, and he's got his guys prepared for this first-round series. We see Cody Martin gets the entry to Jimmy Butler on the wing. Giannis is a little hobbled. He just took that fall, and he isn't really moving well right now. So he decides not to really fight through this screen here from Cody Martin, and he switches with Billy Portis. Now watch Bam Adebayo. He sees that happens. He sees the switch, and he just gets the next guy who's up to guard Jimmy. Bobby Portis is getting ready to guard Butler, so Bam just hits him and gets Jimmy just enough space that he needs to hit this pull-up. So really smart play there by Bam Adebayo. Watch him. He's reading these 2 right here. He's trying to make a play for Jimmy, and he sees that Bobby Portis is the next guy in line to guard Jimmy off this after they switch it, and he just keeps him from getting to Jimmy's spot. And Jimmy gets to the spot first, and he gets all the space he needs to hit that. And, a couple people could argue, well, isn't this a moving screen? Isn't he setting his feet? Isn't he not really setting his feet and getting into Portis? I would argue that there's really no displacement that happens. He doesn't shove him, and he gets his work done early. He's kind of already getting into him before Jimmy even attacks Portis. So he's already making contact right here, and Jimmy's still skipping, kind of reading outside the 3-point line. But Bam's getting his work done early, and he's being physical, getting into him, and I don't really see anything that would constitute a foul there. So on this one, it's really the playmaking of Jimmy and Bam again. This cut right here is really good because he's reading Lopez. But normally how this play would develop is right now Bam is in position to screen Portis right here, and you'd usually have a skip open. If we back it up just a couple extra frames. Right now, Bam could screen Portis, and you'd have the skip open for Vincent. He's open on the corner. But Drew Holiday is an elite defender right here. He's kind of shadowing. He's kind of cheating that pass right here. So once Lopez comes a double and Jimmy gives him the pump fake, even though he's retreating, he's not protecting the rim. He's still guarding the ball. He was protecting the rim when he was in position here. He's a rim protector. But once he comes a double, he's guarding the ball and no one's protecting the rim. So Bam does a good job to read that, cut right to the middle. And, there's a lot of talk about Lopez. I think he won second place in DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year, over Mobley. And we'll see. We saw it on that play. We'll see late in the fourth quarter, he just gets beat over and over. He's slow down in the painted area, and he has a hard time stepping up to contest shots that are just sort of outside of the arc, the circle down low. And if Giannis is going to be out for the remainder of the series, we're going to see a really thin really thin backcourt for the Bucks here. We can go 6:07 on the clock. Watch Lopez. I mean, that's all day. It's just free buckets here for Jimmy. Get to your spot, and if Lopez isn't going to come up and guard you, I'm just going to shoot it right over him. Next possession down. Next trip down the court. Same thing. Pick and roll. Lopez is retreating, backing up. And he isn't stepping up on Bam. I mean, it's free. They get him 2 more times down here in the last couple minutes. Boom, there's Bam again. I'm sure this is the same thing. Watch. Pick and roll. Yep, there's Bam. I mean, Lopez, where's that second play? I don't get it. I don't get the hype. But let's see what happens here. Pick and roll. I mean, it's going to be all day. That time you can go to the corner. So, look at Vincent right here. He decides, Bam's definitely open on this, but Drew Holiday's kind of helping in. So Vincent, he just runs in Drew Holiday's way, doesn't let him close out to the corner, and Cody Martin's able to smack the 3. That's simple execution, or simple basketball, well executed. Coach Spo's got him ready, and if Giannis ain't back, then Lopez is really going to struggle. All right, so in this game one, Steph was Stephing. He was Stephing early on. You'll see him. It gets cut off, but he comes off that screen, and then it's a dribble handoff. They just fly him around. And he was getting what he wanted early on. We'll see right here. I want you to just bear with me a minute. Because he does 6 moves. There's 6 on the clock. He does 6 moves, passes the ball, and they get a 3 off before the shot clock. So he's coming off the handoff from Kuminga. It's the same thing, just this next play. He's coming off pick and roll, whatever. Now he's got Sabonis on him. So he hesitates here, gets the little hezzy pull-up. Gets the attack, that's 2. Gets the pullback, there's 3 moves already in less than a second, basically. He goes tween, and then he goes attack again, pull back again, that's 3 more moves. Pump fake, pass. He goes hezzy, attack, pull back. Up, tween, attack, pull back, pump fake. 2 guys guarding me, get the DiVincenzo in the corner. I don't know how you guard that. I mean, that's Steph just doing his thing. And these first 2 games, it really showed the Warriors' limitations as far as backcourt sort of depth. Kuminga and Looney and Draymond just aren't going to be able to get it done if they're not going to be able to guard Sabonis on plays like that. So Fox and Monk and their other guards for Sacramento are doing a good job after these first couple possessions of really locking down Steph and forcing him to find other ways to score. Really locking him up off ball, which is how he gets a lot of his looks. And if everything else is even between the guards, Monk, Steph, Clay, De'Aaron Fox, I think it's going to come down to the bigs and what can Draymond, Looney, and Kuminga do to limit Sabonis. They got Alex Len. They also got Harrison Barnes and Trey Lyles. I mean, those dudes are a lot more comfortable. This is basically a small ball game. Like, this is high scoring, small guards, slashing guys. And the Kings are playing the Warriors type of basketball better than the Warriors play it, which is really crazy to watch. It's fun to watch. But with everything else even on the wings with the guards and whatnot, I think Lyles, Harrison Barnes, who else did I say? Sabonis, those dudes are just a lot more comfortable playing on the three-point line, a lot more comfortable further from the hoop. And if those guys get drawn out, Kuminga and Looney and Dre, then it's going to be really open for those slashing guys like Monk to get easy looks. And if they can't stay in front of Sabonis on plays like this, I mean, they might as well just pack it up because they really don't stand a chance. I think the biggest X factor in this series is going to be Andrew Wiggins. If he can do something on the defensive end, just get big stops one-on-one and produce on the offensive end, hit a couple shots, get a couple dunks, get a couple middies, then that'll really help them out in what they're trying to do. But it's not looking good so far. So just to touch back on that sort of big battle between like Sabonis, Len, Trey Lyles versus like Kuminga, Wiggins, Looney, Draymond, that's what made Golden State good for so long, was the fact that they had slashing guys who could stretch it out, like Sabonis, like Trey Lyles, like Andrew Wiggins, like Andre Iguodala, like Sean Livingston. Sean Livingston couldn't stretch it out as much, but those guys are slashers. So when Steph you got to guard him on the three, so it's easy to get around. Steph or Clay drives, they got someone coming in, like a Jordan Poole, like an Andrew Wiggins, like a Draymond Green. Those guys come in and they get the rock off the cut from Steph or Clay, who's got you beat because he can shoot the three. He's easier to get around you. And they just don't really have those guys this year. All they really got is Wiggins. And Draymond's old. It's kind of like the young Warriors versus the old Warriors in this series. We actually see it on this play. This is what makes Steph so good. So you got to guard him on the three, and then he's able to get around you. And then a lot of times, he'll pass it up, and he's still got that step on Sabonis here. He's still got that step. So he's just so good at getting to the next spot where he can hurt you again. On this one, he gets a step off the dribble, passes it up, and then he's got the step in the entire way to Sabonis. Clay hits his own guy, hits Sabonis as well, and Steph's wide open for three. Like I said, that's just what makes the Warriors so great and what has made them so great for so long. But if I'm Sabonis right here, I got to do a little bit more than just point. He's mad about the call, but he's just jogging back. He points this way. It's Steph Curry, man. You got to do a little bit more than just point at him. So these are two great examples of Andrew Wiggins being kind of like that slashing sort of drive to the hoop guy that I talked about. Really helps out Clay and Steph and what they do off the ball and being sort of a small ball team. This is a perfect cut here from Wiggins coming straight down the lane. And it really, that's why guys like Iguodala, Livingston, Wiggins, they're all good playing that small ball lineup with Clay and Steph because they're slashing guys that like to get to the rim. They're athletic dudes who can stretch it out if they need to, but their main game is playing off of Clay, Steph, Dre, and going small, and it really helps the Warriors out, and that's why they've always been so good. They're just kind of getting beat at their own game in this series. So yeah, I think I was talking over the perfect example of what I meant. I mean, this is just completely impossible, right? They're running stuff all the way around. And now, so look, basically what I mean, say this pass is clean. He gets this one off clean right here with Dre. Say it's just a clean dribble handoff. Now, Clay's out here. He's ready for the cake. It's a clean dribble handoff. Clay's coming to curl this, or Steph rather is coming to curl this. He either has a pull-up, dump down. Clay's coming to kick. But this is Draymond's role. This is Clay's role. This is their big man role, whether it's like it was Andrew Bogut in 2015. Sometimes it's Draymond. It's been Harrison Barnes in the past. But this guy out here, he's Sean Livingston. He's Andre Iguodala. He's Andrew Wiggins. So that if this handoff is clean and Clay gets the ball into here, that he's out on the wing and he can come in and slash and cut to the basket. He can come in right behind Clay, Steph, whoever's coming off this dribble handoff, and kind of be a threat in the lane as well. So you got your shooter on the wing, you got a dump here, you got a dribble handoff, he can roll, and then you got a slasher coming in as well. And that's what the Warriors have always kind of thrived on. But you can see, they're just out of sync a little bit. It's not as clean and as crisp as it has been in the years past. Although that one right there is just Steph doing his thing. So this is actually a really special play right here. It's Steph coming off the high screen first, and then he drives it and kicks it to the corner. Here's Wiggins. But now I want you to watch Steph and I want you to watch Clay at the same time. It gets back up to Looney here, and now Steph is coming off this sort of down screen action with Wiggins. But as that's happening, Clay's getting a screen from Peyton. They're setting up for a double ball screen handoff. And Clay's coming up, or Steph rather, is coming up to shoot it. So they got two threats coming up. And this is crazy because the Kings leave Steph Curry wide open right here. Horter and Monk both leave Steph, and he's wide open. I've never seen that happen in a Warriors game. But it happens here because this play is just really crazy. So Like I said, drive off the high ball screen, get a kick out to the corner, swing it back up, and set up this ball screen or set up this off ball screen dribble handoff as Curry is coming off the down screen and coming up to his spot. And it's just a whole lot going on. You got off ball action on either side of the court, and it's difficult to guard when you got guys like Klay and Steph on the court who can do that pretty much whenever they want. And the last thing I got is an example of what I like to call the De'Aaron Fox effect. So the rule when your guy is on the opposite side and you're in help position is to have at least 1 foot in the paint. You're not necessarily on the midline, especially in the NBA, because these guys are huge knockdown shooters. But the rule is to have 1 foot in the paint. You can see De'Aaron Fox is pretty much sizing up. And look at Klay and look at Wiggins. They both got 2 feet in the paint. They're worried about De'Aaron Fox. The gravity of De'Aaron Fox, you got 5 guys who are all concerned about what he's doing with the ball. And that's always a good recipe for success if you're on the offensive side of things. So De'Aaron, he just reads the D, and he kicks out to one of these 2 guys, and it's just too far of a closeout. Like I said, there's Lyles. Going to be difficult for the Kings, or for the Warriors, rather, if they can't figure it out on the defensive side of things. These 2 guys both get sucked all the way into the paint, and it's a clean kick out for the 3 for Trey Lyles. So I know the NBA game is a little bit different than the college game. It's a different sort of art form, breaking down these film reviews. Definitely high level, a lot higher skill level as well. Trying to be more technical as we move into the NBA sort of playoffs. But we got 2 months of playoffs. Expect these film reviews to keep coming out at least once a week until June. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys are learning. Keep loving. Just thanks for tuning in.